Hi, I'm Lauren, an OpenSciEd teacher and facilitator, and today we're taking a look at Lesson 7 in our matter cycling and photosynthesis unit. So let's get started. First, let's look back at how we got here. So in Lesson 6, the students used a simulation to investigate what is happening inside a chloroplast of a plant cell. And we figured out that water and carbon dioxide molecules, along with light, are interacting in the chloroplasts. So the molecules are breaking apart and their atoms are rearranging into sugar and oxygen. We figure out that each of these inputs are needed and that increasing the inputs leads to more oxygen and sugar, glucose, being produced. So we know from the simulation that light is needed, but we're wondering why. And that is what we're going to figure out in Lesson 7. Why do plants need light? So here's our lesson at a glance. Lesson 7 is a one-day problematizing lesson that includes a reading. You will also need access to the nutrition labels from Lesson 1. Here's our lesson snapshot. So we start by looking at our model, and we realize that we still need evidence to support the ideas that plants need sunlight as an input for energy. So in this lesson, we read about how food labels give us the information about the energy provided in food. So that's our first reading. Then we examine the food labels for inputs in the plant system, and we realize that water and carbon dioxide don't provide energy, but glucose, the output, does. So we meet in a scientist circle to argue from evidence about the role of sunlight, and then take time to individually update progress trackers. From all of this, we're able to now state with evidence that water and carbon dioxide don't provide energy, but glucose does, and the plant must be using energy from the light. And this light must be used so that the plant can do the chemical reaction to make sugar. Let's take a look at a few of the key moments. So in part 3, the students look at food labels for the plant inputs. This comes after the reading when we're thinking about how a food label can give us information about the energy within a certain food in the form of calories. So first, we'll brainstorm ideas about where can we find a food source for our inputs of water and carbon dioxide and our outputs of glucose or oxygen. I sometimes have a can of sparkling water or seltzer just out as a visual prompt to help the students, like, check this out. And then once we have ideas of sources, we return to the nutrition labels, because within the nutrition labels are food labels for glucose tablets as well as carbonated water, sparkling water. And the students can use these to go back and to see how many calories are in each of these sources. The making sense questions at the end of the document will prepare students for discussions. We don't have a source for oxygen. So when the students get to that point, they'll sometimes be like, wait, we don't know. And I just tell them to kind of make a guess. What do you think based on everything else? In part 4, the students argue from evidence about the role of sunlight. So on the model, we've already marked what is matter. We know that carbon dioxide, water, oxygen, and glucose are all matter. However, the students usually will just say, oh, we need the sun for energy. We need the sun for energy. Here's where we're really pushing them to give the evidence to support it. So we'll revisit that input-outputs model. The teacher guide has a number of suggested prompts to use to guide the students. And again, I found the students, they're quick to say sunlight is energy, but we do have to push them to give supporting evidence. So we review, was there energy in the form of calories in the carbon dioxide, in the sparkling water? Was it in the plain water? But is it in glucose? And at this point, we can also add that energy label next to glucose. There are no materials to prep for this lesson other than to make copies of the readings and to bring out the food labels from lesson 1. There's also no words to add to our word wall in this lesson. We do use the model from lesson 6 that zooms in on the chloroplast, and we'll differentiate between matter and energy in the system. So we're adding to that model. This is going to also be needed in lesson 8 and moving forward, so be sure to keep this visible. And that's the end of our one-day lesson 7. In lesson 8, we're going to put all of these pieces together to explain where plants are getting food from. We'll make a gotta have it checklist, and it'll also be time for a midpoint assessment. So be sure to check out the next video.